The landscape, barren, desolate, and gray. The sounds of poisoning radiation crackled in my ears. It's post-apocalyptia, and now it's time for Pokemon of the Week. Hello, all of my survivors of the Mayan prophesized end of the world. Har har har, so much for that. Anyway, it's time for Pokemon of the Week, and this week, keeping in a jolly mood of the holidays, we're going to do Jellicent, because this OU wall is phenomenal. And it's overused too, for sure. It's properly placed and it's here. And once you look at its stats of special defense base being 105, you understand. And on top of that, as if it wasn't good enough to have such a good special defensive bracket, you also have the ability Water Absorb. So, very similarly to how Electivire's Motor Drive works, where if you switch in when you predict properly of your opponent using an electric-type move, except in this case Jellicent's Water Absorb for water-type moves, you will take in the move, not have any damage, and actually get a benefit. With Motor Drive, it was a speed boost. With Water Absorb, it's a health boost, which works out wonderfully for this wall, since ideally you want to keep the wall around as long as possible. And what would you do with this wall? Well, you can Scald, you can Will-O-Wisp or Toxic. I really prefer the Toxic in this case because you have a chance to Scald burn your opponent, but if you're trying to negate their attacking power and you don't want to mess around with chance of accuracy of the Scalding burn, then definitely include Will-O-Wisp. Taunt, to stop your opponents from setting up and potentially erasing the power of your wonderful wall you have here. And Recover. Recover just in case your opponent is not so giving on this holiday season with the water-type moves, and you're going to have to recover your health on your own. This is a special wall, but because I want to keep it mainly a wall in this set, we're going to move on to a special striking variant next. I split up the remaining 252 between HP and defense. If you wanted to go hardcore, exclusively special defensive wall, meaning that you're really only anticipating blocking out those types that are, or those Pokemon that are special sweepers, then you could go ahead and negate the defensive EVs and just put that extra 126 up to HP and throw the remaining 4 wherever you feel necessary, maybe in special attack. Speed, it's rather useless. Something to be mindful of is its weaknesses. It's got 4 of them, and they are prevalent in the OU metagame. So for Electric, it might be proper to set this thing up on your team with an Electivire, in fact, to counteract any big Thunderbolts coming your way, because even if you have special defense maximized and you've got a calm nature on this set, it really won't do well if they decide to keep hammering at it with Thunder. So you're going to need something to counteract that, something to absorb the hit. For Ghost and Dark type moves, maybe consider something of a normal type or fighting type. This way it resists both Ghost and Dark types. And Grass? Well, Grass is up to you. I mean, you can actually handle Grass types with this Pokemon if you wanted to include an Ice Beam with it. The thing is, it's not going to have priority in striking, so it's something to consider. Maybe you'd like to switch out to maybe your Fire starter that will inflame the field and finish off that pesky Grass type. For this second set, I focused on special attack. This thing is bulky, of course, so we're going to leave it with its natural bulk and not really touch anything on the EVs. And we're going to surprise our opponents by maximizing special attack, maximizing speed, and putting the extra 4 to HP. Now, when you're doing this Special Striker variant, since it is a very low-speeded poke, maybe you don't want to do this maximization of speed. Maybe instead, you'd like to include Trick Room on your team and anticipate using that. Jellicent is capable of learning Trick Room, so it can reignite the weird antimatter gravity zone dimension that makes slower Pokemon quicker than the naturally speedy ones. So perhaps you don't want to maximize speed, but if you do, you have a choice of Ice Beam, Water Spout, which only works effectively if you have maximum HP, so it's something to consider with its lower speed. It's not always going to have special attacking priority. Most times, more than not, it won't. So maybe you want to keep Scald on there, and then you have the secondary benefit of potentially burning your foes. Shadow Ball, and like I said before, Trick Room is a good way to make sure your Slowpokes get going first. So if you want to power up this thing even more, because 85 is nothing to laugh at. It's definitely a workable special attack stat to eradicate your foes. You can think about including the Water Gem, or maybe even using a Choice Specs. Remember though, Choice Specs, any choice item that you use, will lock you down to the one move that you use first. So if you decide to Scald your opponents, or if you decide to come out and do a Trick Room, that would be disastrous. I mean, I don't even know why you'd do that. If you do Trick Room and you got a choice item, that just does not make any sense, because you're going to have to send your Jellicent right back to your team slots and switch something else out that's heavy. So maybe you could do a Psych Out. Maybe you could set up with Trick Room, switch right back. Your opponent won't know what you're doing. I won't know what you're doing. But, it's potentially okay. But with Choice Specs, it does power up special attacking moves, so that's where you can get the extra hitting power that is not innately in this set, being more of a wall than a special sweeper. But I have seen these special striking variants, and that's why I wanted to bring it to your attention today, because there's more than one way to use a wall, and if you wanted to make it a more offensive wall, this is the way to do it. This 252 towards speed is almost a lazy effort on my part, because I don't have time to test out the different stats. But those who do, maybe you could experiment with the EV investment, some to special defense, some to defense and HP, mix it up around those three stats, and forget speed, go full on with the Trick Room. You just have to worry about other Pokemon that your opponent may have that are slower, in fact, than Jellicent. But if you design your team as a slow, roaming, lumbering team, then Trick Room will be the top of your move pool. So that does it for Jellicent this episode this week. And if you've got any battle footage, if you've used Jellicent before, I have seen it so many times in the metagame. I would love to see it as a video response to this video, and you'll get a shout out next week. So, I'm deogenz, reminding you to subscribe to Planet Poke for this and other great content created by everybody here on the channel. This is YouTube's first ever all things Pokemon channel. Pretty crazy, right? So if you like Pokemon, you're going to want to stay tuned to this channel. And if you like Russians playing Minecraft, going throughout the mines and trying to get through Nether in a very comedic fashion, then you want to tune over to my channel, youtube.com/deogenz. My friend Vladimir and me do a lot of LPs there, and pretty darn soon, I'm getting the stuff set up. The EV training series will be there, so tune in for that.